104 once again for episode 90 of the 815 Exchange. And well, NBA playoffs are in full swing. Of course, that's the main event as always, as it tends to be here in, late April, early May. And it certainly has, it's been a crazy playoffs. But of course, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a minute. We'll talk about that after the break. But we also have the NFL draft coming up this week, so we'll do a short little preview. Not the full thing, but we'll do a little short preview. And of course, we've got everything happening in entertainment. So a full show. A full show yet again. I don't know if this was going to be as short as last week, but another full show. As always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. The love has been amazing, and it is much appreciated. And as always, you will find everything that you need, everything that you desire in the description. If you want to skip ahead, you can't wait any longer. All right, you telling me, Chris? Also, you want him to talk about the NBA? All right. Feel free to skip ahead to the NBA. Timestamps are included in the description and all of my social media. So if you want to follow me on Twitter and hear me live tweet all the games, or talk about F1 or whatever it is, or TikTok, whatever the platform is, all my social media links are in the description. But without further ado, and I know we talked a lot about the NBA, but of course something happened in combat sports this week. So we have to start off with combat sports. It's a time-honored tradition here on the 815 Exchange, and we're going to do just that. And we're starting off with the heavyweight throne, which belongs currently to Tyson Fury and I guess also to Alexander Usyk. Of course, that was supposed to be the fight that we got on Saturday, but of course Usyk, understandably so, had higher matters to attend to. Praying, of course, for his safety and everybody in Ukraine. But we did, in fact, get Dillian Whyte's long-awaited chance at the heavyweight crown, and he drew his countryman, the number one ranked, who many believe is the best heavyweight on the planet, in Tyson Fury. Sold out Wembley. It was a record crowd, I'm pretty sure. There was a great atmosphere. Y'all heard me talk about it last week. I said I thought it was going to be a tougher fight than a lot of people were predicting. I come on here and I celebrate my victories. I celebrate my Nostradamus moments. But I also come on here and I will admit where I was wrong. All right? Because I was wrong. Not that I was right about Tyson Fury winning this. And I was also right about, Fury, kind of getting a finish. This was not a close fight. This was not by any means a close fight. This was a levels to this fight. To be completely honest, this was levels to the. Dillian Whyte he was outclassed from the start. I said he needed to make it, a little bit dirty, a little bit grimy, similar to Otto Wallen. He tried that because it really broke down in that second and third round. It broke down for a little bit. Ref was having to get in, separate them. It was getting kind of dirty, and that was the fight that I felt like Whyte needed to fight, right, to have a chance against Fury. But he did that, but just did not. The skill gap was just far too large. Fury was just that much better. He never really seemed like he felt like he was in danger in there versus Whyte. He felt so comfortable, so composed. That confidence that we see before the fights and in the pre-fight and in the walk-in, that wasn't false confidence. That was just pure confidence. And it translated. It translated the way he was fighting. After, it got a little messy early on, he was in cruise control. Using that jab, using that length. I think he had a 11-inch, reach advantage, and he put that to work. Fury absolutely put that to work and showed why he is the definitive heavyweight, at least of this generation, and certainly someone that I think should be considered, one of the greater heavyweights of all time. Is he the greatest? I wouldn't go that far, but he's a legend of the sport, indisputably. I know that Tyson also went and said that this is possibly the last one. He promised Paris, his wife, he promised that the last one versus Wilder was the last one. And then he had the opportunity, of course, to fight, back home in Wembley, in the biggest stadium, against the fellow countryman for the heavyweight title. It doesn't really get much bigger than that, right? So, understandably, he came back for one more. Now, retirements in sport, really retirements, let's say in boxing, right? We won't generalize to all the sports, even though you can say it's for all sports. But specifically in combat sports and boxing, retirements don't always stick, all right? Floyd, besides like Ali obviously came back, Foreman came back, Floyd has come back and done these, like, I guess, celebrity bouts. Boxers, for some reason, when they retire, seem to get that itch. And they always seem to come back for the most part. Especially some of the ones that have held the highest of the highs, been multi-time world champs. They can't scratch that itch anywhere else, so they always seem to come back. Now, will Fury retire, or is this an official retirement? It's not an official retirement. He hasn't relinquished the belts or anything. I don't think he's going to retire. I could be wrong. He could hang it up, and this could be it. But I think, and I hope, that he has one more in him. I hope that he has one more in him, and that he can close his career, he can close this chapter, he can retire early with one more fight. And of course, that is undisputed. I would love for him to fight Alexander Usyk and for us to finally get that fight, and for us to finally get an undisputed heavyweight champion, as it seems we've been dancing around for the past 3 years. So I would love for that to happen. If Fury calls it a day, he calls it a career, that is perfectly fine. He's a legend of the sport. He's got nothing left to prove, to be honest. He is the #1 heavyweight in the world. I don't really think that's up for really much debate. But I would love to see him go at it versus Usyk, 2 pound-for-pound guys, and see who's the best heavyweight, who's undisputed, who is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I would love to see that. White, he's delusional. I think I saw the comments after. Now I'm gonna give him a pass because of course it was after the fight. There's a lot of emotion, but come on, bro, that fight wasn't relaxed, all right? Fight wasn't close. Get out of here with all that. We also had a UFC Fight Night this week. I'll just talk about the headline here. It wasn't too crazy of a card. A lot of submissions though on that card. A lot of submissions. Clay Guida in the co-main event got blocked at one of the smoothest, swiftest knee bars I have ever seen in my life. But Jessica Andrade is in this weird situation, this weird position of she's too good for the rest of the contenders, but it's almost the Max Holloway situation where she can beat every other contender. Amanda Lemos, who made a huge step up. She's not bad herself, but she got choked out here. All right, Andrade showed that she was superior. Left no doubt about it. But Andrade, unfortunately, a legend, future Hall of Famer, is stuck in this position where she's not quite on the level of Valentina or Wei Li, right? She's not quite on that level where she's champion, but she's not quite on the level of, she's a contender and she's stuck in this contender shuffle. She's stuck at that #1 contender spot. So it's a weird situation to be in. Because it's like, do you keep feeding her contenders until she earns another title shot? Like, it's a tough situation. She probably gets another title shot, I think, after this. But Andrade, she's, a legend. She's just kind of cemented her legacy. Former champ. But yeah, just stuck in that Max Holloway. It's just a tough situation. But I've appreciated all of the mixed martial arts, all of the UFC recently. Bellator had their event, even though it was a little bit of a fiasco, but that's sometimes Bellator for you. But that was a week in combat sports. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us, of course, to the NFL draft. Yes, the NFL draft this week, of course, kicking off on Thursday. And I want to say that this has to be one of the more unpredictable drafts that we've been across in quite some time, right? Last year we knew, all right? We knew Trevor was going 1, we knew Zach was going 2, and then it was like, all right, here's the rest of the draft. And you kind of had some predictions from there. This year, I have no idea. Even though people are saying Hutch, some people are saying Evan Neal, some people are, some people are saying Trayvon Walker now from Georgia, that's who the Jaguars. I have no idea I am not going to sit here and give you a prediction for that. I have no idea. I cannot tell you who the Jaguars are picking. I have no idea. And they have too many holes for me to be like, that's exactly what they need. Because they need Hutch. They need Kayvon. They need Trayvon. But they also need Evan Neal, right? They need whatever. They have so many holes. they can't really go wrong, but they could go wrong because it's a tough position because it's the number one pick, and you need to hit on this. With a new regime coming in, Doug Peterson is your coach, Lawrence year 2, you need to hit on this pick. You absolutely need to hit. You need to hit on this draft in general. So big pressure on the Jaguars this week in the draft. The great quarterback debate. As always, I don't really think there's anybody it's not as great of a quarterback class as last year. I also don't know if it's as bad as like the E.J. Manuel. Who else is the top quarterback in that? I've completely wiped that. I think Brock Osweiler may have been in that class. There's nobody. It's not that bad, but it's also not as good as last year. My rankings, I do want to go through more footage, and I'll probably, if I do have time, I am very busy this week, maybe post some TikToks on some of my top draft prospects. But I think my great, quarterback ranking would probably be Pickett. I really like Matt Corral's arm talent, even though there's some stuff to be worked on. But that's what everybody. I like Pickett, Corral, maybe Malik Willis. And here's my thing about Malik Willis, all right? And I've said this before. He has all of the physical tools, the rocket arm. He can, get it done on his legs, even though he should not be compared to Lamar. I will go that to the end of time. Do not compare that man to Lamar. He is not Lamar. If you expect Lamar, you're going to be disappointed. And we've seen it work with Josh Allen, even though he's more of an anomaly, and that's more of a credit to Josh Allen and what the Bills did. But there's a lot of work to be done with Willis, so I'm not sold on him as the number one quarterback. Even, it's a lot. There's a lot of potential, but there's a lot to work on, and it might be a thing where he needs to sit behind somebody, because I don't know if I feel comfortable with the way that he produced. Right, there's one thing of playing for, because it happens, right? And we've seen plenty of quarterbacks not come from one of these top teams, right? You don't have to play for a Bama or Ohio State to be a great quarterback in the NFL. You can play for an FC, that's perfectly fine. But I want to see more production. I want to see you dominate against that level of competition. I want you to, prove that you were the guy. And I don't know in what I saw in Malik Willis throughout his career that he was that guy. That he looked like he did not belong on that field because he was just that much better than everybody else. He looked like he was on the level he was supposed to be. But I understand he's got all physical talent. That can be, some of the other things can be coached. So, I understand, Willis can be developed. Desmond Ridder, I'm not too high on either. Running back is also very, very tough. It's not as great of running back class as we've seen. There's no Jonathan Taylors walking around. I think Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall are definitely the clear-cut top two. Kind of interchangeable that order. Brian Robinson from Bama is going to surprise a lot of people. I know a lot of people aren't, he's kind of going under the radar bar a little bit, but I think he could be a very, very good running back. For wide receivers, man, it's a stacked class. Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Treylon Burks, Chris Olave, Pickens, Dotson, Watson, Moore. I could go on and on. Miggy, Justin Ross is in this class. It's ridiculous. All right, it's a ridiculous receiver class. I don't know if it's as high end as we've seen in the past couple of years, but this is still by all means a very, very, very tough wide receiver class with a lot of great talent and a lot of value that can be taken from this cornerback. I'll talk about cornerback very briefly because this might apply to my team, to the Cowboys, and where we might go. Sauce Gardner is my cornerback number one, even though Stingley I think is very good. But I think the time off will serve him well, but also, he wasn't playing up to, the normal Derek Stingley standard before he got injured. So I can sit fine with him at 2. And I actually agree. I agree completely with, I'm looking at CBS's rankings here to get like a combined. And their top 4 is my top 4. Really the top 5, I'd say, is my top 5. Sauce is number 1 in my opinion. That just his resume speaks for himself. All the physical tools, 6'3", 190, and what he's done lockdown Jameson. Listen, there's nothing else really to be said. Stingley, of course, he's got the pedigree. He's been the number 1 guy, seen me since high school. So and performed. Freshman year was very, very good. Had some injury problems, but if he's healthy, we know what Stingley can be. Andrew Booth is going to surprise a lot of people. Clemson had a down year, but Booth absolutely did not. Athletic freak show, great cover skills, absolutely my their guy. Trey McDuffie has been locked down since he was at St. John's Bosco. Roger McCreary, we saw the performance he put on for Auburn, especially late in the season, definitely was a riser. Kyrie Elam, another guy with the last name, he's got the pedigree, showed up a lot for Florida. He probably be my 5. There's some good talent. There's some really good talent here in the quarterback class, similar to our receiver class. I think we're seeing a lot of that recently. Some good corners, some good receivers. Maybe that's a reflection of 7-on-7 culture, and just kind of reflection of the new generation and kind of the talent we're getting there. I think that might have a little bit of effect. Linebacker Devin Lloyd and Kobe Dean, I'm very high on. Edge, of course, you got Hutch, you got Thibodeau. Jermaine Johnson was great for FSU. Or Kafalatis was a former 5-star prospect, went to Purdue, performed there. Ojabo from Michigan, of course, the injury slowed down some of that, but it's not. Could be like Owen away. Could be an Owen away situation from Penn State. All the physical tools, and he was a little bit more productive, I think, than Oway as well. So you could see some of that happen. High-end talent for the edges. We'll see if they can be backed up at the end. In some of the later rounds, if some value can be held, but definitely in the high end. O-line, there's a lot of tackles. Not a bad year to one O-line. Evan Neal's great. Charles Cross is great. Lindenbaum is a very good center prospect. Ike might go number 1 from NC State. He was a huge riser. Zion Johnson. Daniel Fale is a giant. 6'8", 384. An absolute giant. A lot of potential there. It's a relatively deep, I dare say, O-line class, so a lot of stuff that can be found there. Safeties, of course, we're going to talk about, going back to the secondary, because Kyle Hamilton is finally in the draft, and that is going to be fun to see what type of packages are created for him. He was a phenom from game 1 with Notre Dame. Kyle was a phenom. Dax Hill, former #1 safety coming out of high school, went to Michigan, took a while to develop, had a solid year last year, all the physical tools in the world. I think he won the opening as well. So yeah, back that up on the combine. So a lot of people are high on him going into Thursday. Louis Cine was a great run support option at Georgia, helped them win that national championship. So yeah, it's a very interesting draft. All right, it's a very interesting draft. A lot of talent. Is it like an all-time draft? I don't know. Too early to tell. We'll see. I think a lot of people aren't as high on it because of the lack of, the premier quarterback prospect not really being in this class, as it is maybe last year and next year, but still a very good class, still a very good class, a lot of good players in this draft, and yeah, excited for Thursday, as I'm sure every NFL player is, and every NFL prospect is, and of course, every NFL fan is. So yeah, can't wait for the draft. Always a good show, so yeah, we'll see what happens. Now, for entertainment, alright, okay, we got entertainment. It was weekend 2 of, every influencer's favorite events, and also the largest music festival, or is it? It probably is, right? Coachella, at least here in North America, it is certainly the largest music festival. Coachella, week 2. Much of the same, but I guess Aespa did show up for 88 Rising set, and honestly, they held it down. Shout out to them, 3 for 3 at Coachella, Coral Groups are, so yeah, shout out to them. They held it down. Naming is built different. I don't know where SM keeps finding these people with generational voices. I don't know. It's a factory. It is a literal factory. I don't know where y'all keep finding them, but shout out to the scouting department because they are holding it down. But yeah, Coachella happens. I've heard a lot of varying reports about that. I also heard Revolve Festival, which is like another event, happens amongst the millions of events, but another one that's very influencer heavy. Heard that was a mess, a fiasco. But overall, if you went to Coachella, hope you guys enjoyed your time. I've heard some varying reports about it, but yeah, it did not help my festival fever. So yeah, we'll see what happens this summer. But I do have some things lined up that I will talk about at a later date when I'm allowed to. That will change a little bit of the way we're doing content, but not too bad. I'm not going anywhere, don't worry. But yeah, that was really all that happened in music. I guess Pusha T listened to it. If you listen to Pusha's album, I heard it was very good. I didn't listen to it, but I heard it was very good. You can leave a rating. for that. But yeah, not too much, nothing too crazy happening. Music. Telly. Alright, let's talk about Telly. Moon Knights, specifically. Telly. That and Winning Time. But, Layla, first off, Tomb Raider Layla had me feeling some type of way. I understand. I understand why Stephen Grant and Mark Spector, I understand why they're smitten. Because I was smitten as well. And just kind of the whole storyline with Harrow and her, her father and Mark kind of being there, when her father got killed, and this kind of the tension that's now raised there. Makes this a lot more complicated, makes this a little bit more interesting. It was another great episode, by the way. But yeah, Layla was she's great. Mark and Steven, of course, meeting up in that like asylum of his like mind that's constructed. It was a trippy scene. Alright, it was a trippy scene, and then we get the hippo, Tara Reid, who's like a mother figure of the god. It was trippy, okay? That was such a trippy last 10 minutes of that. That was the most trip that I've been since WandaVision. Alright? Like WandaVision, and if we're going out of Marvel properties, maybe like Tenet. Just because of like what is going on. Like what is going on. But it was great. It was great. It was a lot more understandable than Tenet, because we're not going to talk about Tenet. But Moon Knight, yeah. Great trippy. We had a Jake cameo. We got a Jake Lockley cameo. We're gonna call, even though they didn't let him out of the box. But it is what it is. Should be an interesting episode next week, and just kind of seeing how Steven and Mark work together. Again, Oscar Isaac is killing it. All right, Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke as well as Harold, but Oscar Isaac is absolutely demolishing this role. Shout out to everybody. Moon Knight's been fantastic. Winning Time is such a great show. I know Jerry West is upset, and I'm sorry, Jerry. Even though you were honestly portrayed in a much more favorable light. That in conversation, this may have been the best episode. I feel like I said that last week, but this may have been the best episode of Winning Time. Honestly, just kind of, we had the highs of, everything going great with Showtime, but we also had the lows of everybody going through their stuff. Dr. Bus going through, his own vices of women and him possibly getting with the caretaker. That was a wild scene in that car of him kind of breaking down, being comfortable, and then sucking on some. Listen, that was wild. Magic finally caught up to him, was good with Cookie. Then it's revealed that, he banged her best friend and got her pregnant, so he's down bad. Dr. J may or may not have punked him. It was good to see Dr. J, by the way, and just kind of the whole all-star feel. Larry Bird is... I love whoever, I don't know his name, but I love whoever's playing Larry. That's been great how they're doing that. I love the little cameos. We got to see Young Stern again. Yeah, it was just a great episode. It was a great episode. Pat and Paul, possibly the best dynamic, and just kind of the best storyline kind of going on the show. Pat's rise, as coach, and we see him starting to get more comfortable emerging as his own voice, but also just kind of seeing how Pat and Paul eventually take over for Jerry, even though Paul very hesitant about that, eventually did at the end, but Jerry wasn't too happy about that, but we'll see what happens, even though, of course, I guess we know what happens in real life, but we'll see what happens and goes on in the show. But yeah, Winning Time, another fantastic episode. Now, the moment you have all been waiting for. The NBA. Yes, the NBA playoffs are in full swing. First round is in full swing, and it is... Woo. 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 Some of you at home, some of you watching this video are stressed out of your mind. And we'll get to it. We're going to kick off with the Jazz in Dallas, who played a very, very tight game. In fact, Spider, I know all the memes about Spider not passing Rudy. Well, he passed to him at the right time and got the game winner, at least the go-ahead, as the Jazz are able to even up the series versus Dallas, which, shout out to Dallas. They have kept this much more competitive than I anticipated without Luka. Mostly, of course, due to, like we said last week, Jalen Brunson's brilliance and how good he's been. But they've gotten Luka back, even though he's hobbled, and he had a big impact, 30 for 10. 30 for 10, had the go-ahead to the go-ahead before the Jazz won the game. And yeah, looked like Luka. Injured Luka, but still was Luka, 30 and 10, hard to argue with that. Jordan Clarkson was a beast off the bench, 23, 6, and 7 for Clarkson. Rudy Gobert showed up big time, 17 and 15, and of course the always defensive impact that a guy of his defensive caliber has. But yeah, Jazz were able to tie the series. This is looking like it's going to be a very good series, and what is looking like a very good first round. Just in general, But yeah, shout out to the Jazz. They were able to get the win, 100-99. Toronto, the Six, looked like they were going to get swept, but it wasn't to be. Toronto was able to fight back and steal a game here, prevented the sweep. Like Drake said, he said, hey, we're not getting swept. Told him beat that, and hey, it happens. It happened. 110-102, Toronto gets it done. Pascal Siakam, Spicy P, was pushing P. 34-8-5 for Spicy P. Pascal, he's gonna have to be that guy. With Frederico injured, hobbled by that knee, that's been bothering him really this whole second half of the season. Spicy P has to step up. The playoffs are where guys that are stars have to step up and be stars. And if Pascal wants to be looked at as a star, and that's what he could be in this league, the time is now. The time is now, back against the wall from here on out. As it's been, you got to show up. So a lot of expectation on Pascal, but he showed up in Game 4. Embiid, 21-8. He did his usual. Not to the highest caliber, wasn't his finest game, but he had by no means a bad game. Just the Raptors came to win. They weren't losing that game by any means, and they were able to get it done. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I need to take a water break for this one. Because my American Pie. Brooklyn, you are in trouble. And of course, Game 4 goes tonight. All right, so by the time you get this, maybe like an hour, maybe 2-3 hours after this is uploaded is when their game will start, Game 4. So by the end of today, the Nets could be gone. It could be broomsticks. They could be disappeared, even from the world of the playoffs this year. And oh boy, let's talk about it, because I am thrilled to talk about this one. First off, let's talk about Game 3, yeah? Boston gets the win, 109-103. Pull-up shoot, Jason Tatum, superstar. No arguments about it. The boy, I said he had to emerge. I said he had to ascend, and boy, oh boy, has JT ascended. Not only as one of the best two-way players in the league, but as a bona fide, undisputed superstar. It is not even arguable. It is not even up for debate who is the best player in this series. It is Jason Tatum. It is not Kevin Durant. It is not Kyrie Irving. It is Jason Tatum, and he has proved that without a shadow of a doubt through these first 3 games and has made a statement, as has this Celtics team as a whole. Tatum cooked them for 39. JB, I'm not even going to call him a Robin because he's more of an equal. It's almost like a Nightwing and Flash, right? Dick Grayson and Wally West type situation. Because JB himself had 23, was hooping. They are getting cooked. The Nets are getting cooked. Bruce Brown was the leader in this game for them. 26-8 for Bruce Brown. Shout out to him. He had a great game. But KD, where is Kevin Durant? Where is this guy that y'all claim was the best player in the world? I remember. Fresh off the Warriors thing, y'all were saying he was the best player in the world. He's better than Bron. Because I'm confused. Because Bron wouldn't go 0 for 10 in the second half. Bron would not be doing the things that are going on with KD right now. Now, credit, of course, Celtics #1 defensive team in the league. And they're doing everything they can to stop KD. But KD has not shown up at all. For who people claim that KD is, for all the praise that we have showered Kevin Durant with over his career, and especially recently, he hasn't been that guy. Straight up, he hasn't been that guy. We'll see if he shows up. Game 4, maybe they go for the reverse sweep. Who knows? But they haven't showed up. He hasn't answered the bell. He hasn't been the Slim Reaper. He has not been the Slim. If he's the Slim Reaper, then Jason Tatum is the Grim Reaper because he has been haunting KD. The Durantula is getting stumped out like a spider. It's no contest. Kyrie was also absent in Game 3, nowhere to be found, getting locked up. Marcus Smart, Defensive Player of the Year, I guess for a reason. But Kyrie, non-existent. KD, non-existent. Answer the bell. Will the Nets answer the bell? Just answer the bell. I know they've been competitive games. I know they've been relatively close games. This game was only won by 6 points. But for what y'all are supposed to be, answer the bell. Ben Simmons isn't coming. He's not saving y'all. Even if he came back, he's not going to save y'all. He'd make a difference, but he's not saving y'all. Y'all have to answer the bell to be what y'all claim, to be what y'all wanted. Kyrie left a situation which was great in Cleveland and which he could have stayed with. The only reason that Cleveland team got stopped was because they assembled the greatest team of all time in Golden State with your new partner, Kevin Durant, who then went and left that Golden State team because it wasn't his team and he needed to prove himself. And he has not done a great job of doing that. No doubt they're elite players, no doubt they're Hall of Famers. No doubt in my mind that will happen. But their legacy is on the line. Their legacy is on the line right now. They're getting punked, and there's no way to twist that or sugarcoat that. The Boston Celtics are punking the Brooklyn Nets. Tatum is punking Kevin Durant. Marcus Smart, Jalen, they are Al Horford punking the Nets. Punking. Answer the bell. Can y'all do that? If you're going to get swept with some dignity, because right now you have none. Absolutely none. Go Celtics. Minnesota gets the win over Memphis, 119-118. Cat has been, speaking of people that needed to answer the bell, right? After game 3, people were calling on Cat. He was getting the criticism. He was facing the heat. He was on the hot seat in game 4. He needed to show up. He needed to answer the bell. And what do you know? Karl Anthony Towns answered the bell and got the win. And now the series 2-2. Cat had 33 and 14 and had 24 and 6. Double figures, 6. Well, yeah, he had 24. They had 6 players in double figures for the Timberwolves. Desmond Bane had a great year. He's had a great time with Memphis. That turned out to be a home run pick. He had the game of his life here in game 4. 34 points, 8 threes. Bane was the guy. Now, Ja Morant needs to answer the bell. He had 11, 8, and 15, which is a solid stat line. But Ja to win this series, he's got to be Ja. Alright, he's got to be a bit more efficient scoring, which has been his problem. He's got the playmaking. He's doing the other things. I understand and I respect him for trying to compensate when the shot is not falling. But for the Grizzlies to win this series, they need the shot to start falling. So that is my challenge for Ja. Not as severe, as criticism. But again, like Cat had to answer the bell, now Ja has to answer the bell. This is a great series between 2 great young teams, and it's been one of the most exciting series in my opinion. But yeah, Minnesota gets it done in game 4. Milwaukee takes out Chicago. Giannis 32, 17, and 7. Jrue Holiday at 26. But it was a great week for Duke. Besides everybody in Carolina coming back, it was a great week for at least Duke alumni, okay? It was a great week. Grayson Allen, 27, 6 threes. Phenomenal game for Allen off of the bench. Zach LaVine won his finest. One of his proudest moments. But he did have 24, 5 and 13. So that's nothing to scoff at. It was a great game for Zach LaVine. But just as a whole with the team, it wasn't there. Had individual moments with LaVine. Patrick Williams, the young forward, had 20 and 10. But they are now down 3-1. The back is against the wall. It's not looking good. Just got blown out. I feel like Milwaukee's going to end it in game 5. But of course, we'll see what happens. Denver and Golden State has been a dominant series up to this point for Golden State. But Nikola Jokic and that Nuggets team showed why if they could just get healthy, they could be a contender. Showed up big time in this game. Jokic, MVP, 37, 8, and 6. Monte Morris had 24. Aaron Gordon had 21. I saw someone say it's like they're playing, they're playing like they're down 2 players. Everybody below, where if they were in their original role would be fantastic, are now having to play up, and that's causing some problems. But they all showed up in this game, and they got the win, prevented the sweeps, and it's not no broomsticks here. Even though Steph Curry, 33, Clay had 32 with 7 threes, Wiggins had 20. Look, Warriors showed up to play, but in the clutch, you did a great job calling that out. Great play by Austin Rivers, and the Nuggets were able to get it done. Prevented the sweep. Shout out to the Nuggets. Miami is destroying, and I mean destroying, the Atlanta Hawks. 110-86. Jimmy Buckets 36-10. He came back and showed out. DeAndre Hunter had 24. Trae Young. I don't know if they need to boo him. I don't know what it is. Like, when Grayson Allen got booed, he turned it on. I don't know if they need to, somebody on the Hawks needs to start chanting the Winter Soldier anthem, which is Trae Young for him. I don't know what it is, but Trae he's been missing in action. He's been locked up. He's been in jail. He's been in prison. They got him locked up right now. They need him to get out because it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Heat looking like they're going to finish this one swiftly. New Orleans and Phoenix. What a game this was yesterday. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. I've said it before. When Zion comes back, oh boy, this New Orleans team is dangerous. And with Devin Booker out, oh boy, this New Orleans team is already dangerous. Jose Alvarado has already achieved cult. A cult following in New Orleans and really across the league. Former defensive player of the ACC at Georgia Tech. Showed up and locked up the point guard. Made the point guard look like a mere mortal. After Chris Paul was a huge reason why the Suns were able to go up 2-1 in this series. Only 4 points, and they came all in the first quarter, I believe. I mean, they did a phenomenal job locking up CP3. B.I. Once again, Duke has been fantastic, and B.I. was fantastic. 30 points for him. Jonas Valanciunas has been, I cannot understate how underrated of a pickup he's been. 26-15 for Jonas. Ian had 23-8. He's been the one consistent factor for the Suns team no matter what he has produced. But the rest of that team has to step up. Without Book, you're supposed to be the number 1 seed. You got to have other people that can step up and make it happen. Make it happen. Mikal Bridges, if you're Defensive Player of the Year, you better show up versus Brandon Ingram. You better show up. Because right now, this young Pelicans team looks young and hungry. And they have come to play. Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado, B.I., they have showed up and they are showing out. CJ McCollum, who I didn't mention, it's been great. The Pelicans are here, and I don't think they're going away. One to watch. You need to watch this series if you're not watching already, because it has been very, very, very exciting. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the Roundup. The Roundup, of course, we got our weekly dose of racing. First off with F1, Max Verstappen gets back in victory lane. He wins the Romanga Grand Prix. It was a good week. It was a good week for Red Bull. Can't say so much for some of these others. Charles spun out, lost his positioning. Lewis got lapped. So a nightmare for those two, but Max and Red Bull, it was a dream. Sergio Perez also got second. Red Bull up good. Lando Norris put McLaren in that third spot. So it was an interesting week in F1, but a nightmare. If you weren't Red Bull, it was a nightmare. But shout out to Max, great driving. Ross Chastain, I love restrictor plate races. I absolutely adore Daytona. I absolutely adore Talladega because the style of racing is just so exciting. You just know you're going to get a great finish every time. And yesterday's Talladega race was no different. Ross Chastain sat in that third spot, made the right choices, avoided the chaos at the end, and was able to get it done. I think his second win of the season as well. So shout out to Chastain. I mean, made the right moves. The Hendrick group almost got together, but in that confusion, just got apart, couldn't get back up there. Larson was in a tough spot, even though he fought well. But Chastain. Listen, honestly, sometimes going down in there, being in that third position seems to be the best, right? Just being in third where you can avoid whatever's going on with the first two, avoid what's going on in the back, and make that run. If you're clear selling, you can get it done in these restricted play races. So another great win at Dega. Chastain gets the win. For soccer, going over to Europe, in Liga 1, PSG was able to reclaim the title after they lost it to Lille last year. PSG able to clinch the title. Messi with a banger, a classic Messi goal to clinch it, even though they got the draw, but they only needed 1 point. And PSG wins the league. It should be no surprise with Mbappe, Messi, Neymar. Should be no surprise, but it hasn't been the finest of years. And of course, the Mbappe transfer saga, which is more so of what the conflicting media reports and not so much of what Mbappe, who has said relatively nothing about it and just kind of our speculation, has revved this up and made it really much more, complicated than it probably really is. But PSG able to get it Messi, banger, he's back. Bayern has never left. They win their not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, 10th straight Bundesliga. That is ridiculous. All right, that is ridiculous. For all the flack Liga 1 gets about being farmers, and I'm not saying that any of the top 6 leagues, really in my opinion, are farmers leagues, quote unquote. But I mean, if we're gonna make that, this, when are we gonna talk about Germany? When are we gonna? Because Bayern just stumps everybody out every year, respectfully, and takes their players and they sell them for cheap. I mean, Bayern they have a monopoly, a pure monopoly over the Bundesliga. Another dominant league campaign, another Bundesliga title. Unstoppable. Of course, we'll see what they do in Champions League. Wait, did Bayern get eliminated? Wait, no. Wait, did Bayern get eliminated from Champions League? I forgot. Comment below if Bayern got eliminated, because I have forgotten that. It's been a minute, and I've had a lot of things going on, so I've forgotten. They did get eliminated. I think they got eliminated. So, well, yeah, congrats, Bayern. This is probably the biggest thing you're going to win. Same thing with PSG. Got knocked out of Champions League, got upset. This is the biggest thing you're going to win here, because Villarreal beat Bayern. Wow. Yeah, I didn't think about that when I made these notes. But, yeah, congrats. This is the biggest title both of y'all going to win. Of course, to end off, let's end off on a positive note. Let's end off on a great note. One of the great achievements in baseball and really in sports, and something we might not see for a very long time, is a baseball player hitting the 3,000 hit mark. It is one of the landmark achievements in the sport, and it happened for, once again, like I said, one of the last times in a while, for one of the greatest players of this past era, and really one of the greatest players you could dare say of all time, certainly the greatest Tiger of all time, Miguel Cabrera, Miggy, 3K. Even though as a Yankees fan, we kind of bantered and walked him when he could have got at the Yankees, so we didn't have it happen to us. Miggy did get his 3,000th hit. It was a great moment. Jose Iglesias kind of hugging Miggy after that, despite being on the opposing team. It was really cool to see. It's just a great moment for one of the more beloved players of this past era, one of the best players, Triple Crown winner, multi-time MVP, surefire Hall of Famer, really should be first ballot if we're being honest. Really no real scandals about Miggy. He's just been a great player, and yeah, legend in Detroit, a legend in the United States, just a legend around the world. Shout out to Miggy, congrats on 3K, and yeah, great achievement. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, that was episode, I cannot believe I'm saying this, 90 of the 815 Exchange. It's been a hell of a journey, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Ocho, signing off.